What's going on, Guardians? It's Tizzle here. So in this video, I'm going to be going over some good builds to run in GM Nightfalls. I'm going to have 4 on each character. I'll start with my Hunter, go to my Titan, and finish with my Warlock. I'm going to do a separate one just on good weapons to run based on the artifact. So just subscribe so you don't miss that one. It should be up tomorrow. But for this, it's going to be focused mainly on builds. So obviously a lot of people are going to want to be running Prismatic. I've made a build video breakdown of my Celestial Golden Gun Hunter Prismatic build. Basically, Snare Bombs weaken, Facet of Dawn provides Radiant, and Facet of Courage allows your Arc Solar and Void abilities to deal increased damage to targets afflicted with darkness debuffs. So for GMs, I would probably run a Duskfield Grenade to easily slow enemies, apply Facet of Courage, whatever. You could also run the fragment that applies Sever to get a darkness debuff on them. And basically it makes your Golden Gun better on Prismatic Hunter than it does on Solar Hunter. Threaded Spectre is really nice in GMs. Winter Shroud, you might want to change out for Gunpowder Gamble maybe, but that's up to you. I'm just kind of showing overviews of these builds. I'm going to make build videos on them throughout the season, but these are kind of the ones that I have in mind for soloing a lot of the GMs. But I will talk about which ones would be better in solo content versus team content. This one is one of those ones that would be great in either. Again, you can switch out a lot of these mods. I'm just kind of showing the overview because it's going to depend on what loadout you're running, but you want to make orbs with this build, and then what champions are in the specific Nightfall. So again, I'm just kind of giving overviews. So I can tell you that Celestial Golden Gun on Prismatic is very, very good. I was running Lost Sectors at more than GM Power Delta. So yeah, that one is definitely good. Another one that would be nice on Prismatic is Lucky Pants Hunter. Lucky Pants is basically good on everything. So this is more just, remember, Lucky Pants is still strong as hell, and we have Overload Hand Cannon this season. So that's going to be another very good build on the Hunter. Gerfalcons. I haven't got to play around much with Prismatic Gerfalcon yet. I know I made a preview build before the season even started, just with the starter fragments and aspects, but I didn't even wind up running that because I paid to skip the campaign on my Hunter. And then at that point, I had everything else unlocked, and then I kind of went straight to Golden Gun Hunter, even though a lot of people were doing the Liar's Handshake build, which I'll get to in a second. But yeah, you could pair this with like Buried Bloodline with Unstoppable Sidearm. You could pair it with Graviton Lance with Anti-Barrier Pulse Rifle, and this is absolutely going to shred. So yeah, Gerfalcon's Hauberk, very, very nice. I run Triple Void Surge just to get the most out of my Void stuff. And then Expanding Abyss and Void Hegemony are going to be really nice on this one, especially if you're running, again, the Weaken melee. But yeah, you can kind of tailor this how you want. I'm just kind of pointing out that Void is extremely strong this season. Also, Tether is very, very good in endgame content. So yeah, Gerfalcons is going to go super, super hard. And then, oh yeah, and then I had the Liar's Handshake build. So this one is only for people that are used to playing aggressively in GMs. My buddy Time Lord was running this build. We ran 3 Nightfalls on all our different characters, and when he was on Hunter, he was on this, and he was one-shotting barrier champions with a 1-2 punch shotgun and Liar's Handshake, and as long as he had Stylus Execution going, because your next melee attack while invisible weakens targets. Anyways, there's a lot of buffs going on with this build. These are the aspects and fragments that I run with it if you want to see. And then your super, you can just run whatever. Again, I would probably recommend Tether for endgame content, though this is a good ad clear super. And yeah, either of these two is probably good. And Tractor Cannon for even more debuff, but again, that's not totally needed. And yeah, just set up your artifact as needed. Again, so much of this is based on the actual Nightfall that you're going to be running. But again, I just want to give some ideas of some good exotics to run on the Hunter. So Liar's Handshake, Gerfalcon's Hauberk, Lucky Pants, of course, and Celestial Nighthawk. So 1 in each. And then if you have a good class item with like the Liar's Handshake build, you could go with that. So yeah, that's kind of cool. I didn't even really plan that, but we got a helmet, arms, chest piece, and legs for exotics on the Hunter. So next I will swap over to the Titan. All right, so here we are on the Titan, and much like the Liar's Handshake build on Hunter, this is the Synthecept Slam build. So you've got 3 Consecration Slams. These can stun unstops. You get knockout for health back. Frenzied Blade gives you the 3 melees. You could run Pulse Grenades with Echo of Dominance for Jolt, which stuns overloads. So yeah, unstops and overloads right away are just handled by your build. And then you could also throw on Facet of Dawn to make yourself radiant while you're doing all that. And then when you're radiant, you get anti-barrier rounds. So very, very strong build. You can tailor it as you see fit. And then again, run whatever weapons you basically want and whatever the activity calls for. The one caveat with this build being that you need to know how to play aggressively in endgame content. If not, I do have a build that's better suited to you, but before I get to that one, so I've done a dedicated build video on the Synthecept one and on this Point Contact Cannon Brace Thunderclap one. So again, I'll just kind of show the overview of the build. Sorry, let me go back to the Syntho one for a second. That is not the right Synthecept build. There it is. Yeah, again, even your mods, it's all based around like kind of how you want to play it. Resist mods, what resistances you need for said Nightfall. Again, I'm just kind of giving like, hey, this exotic and these aspects are very, very good. But yeah, if there's overloads, then Jolt is really, really nice. If not, you could run whatever you want to run. Shackles for more unstops, right? That's the beauty of Prismatic, and I am going to make a video dedicated to talking about why Prismatic is so good. And it kind of just centers around that. Basically, it's got an answer to any type of content that you're going into. So yeah, this build, very, very good. The Point Contact Cannon Brace one, now I can't find it, is also very good. Though I think if you're going to run an aggro build, you're better off with the Consecration one because it's just going to melt everything that much quicker. This one, it can be used. I have used it in solo Lost Sectors and it's done well. What's really nice with that one is Galvanic Armor. While you have an Arc or Prismatic subclass equipped, incoming damage from combatants is reduced while amplified. So you pretty much have damage reduction at all times as long as the build's rolling. And it applies Jolt, so it's good on overloads because you can jolt things. It's got great AoE. So again, this is a very fun build as well. But probably not as good as the Synthoslam build. So next, I will probably solo a GM at some point with Hazardous Propulsion. I literally just made this build today, on the day of filming it anyways. Yeah, big fan of it. I don't have the Raid Gauntlets yet, but I might put them on. But anyways, I just thought this drip was pretty cool. And this exotic is very, very strong. Weapon precision hits or final blows have a chance to load a kinetic Exodus rocket. Activating your class ability fires loaded Exodus rockets. Damaging targets with Exodus rockets temporarily increases the damage you deal with all other rockets. So this also works with rocket sidearms and stuff, as well as rockets and things like Grand Overture and whatever. So I was running it with Kvostov, and it's really, really nice. Plus Kvostov has shoot to loot, so we can get orbs easily for our explosive light. This has Clown cartridge, so we always have 2 in the mag. So basically, I have Drenger's Lash and a Rally Barricade, so I could cast that, suspend an unstop. It's going to get hit by the rockets from Hazardous Propulsion and give my rockets a buff. So I totally plan on soloing a GM with this build at some point, and I know it will be like solo worthy, so that's why I wanted to include it in this video. Even though I haven't taken it through Lost Sectors, I have enough experience to know if a build is endgame viable or not, and this one absolutely is. So I'll just give a quick overview of what I run on it. Another interesting thing is with Facet of Courage, your rockets seem to do more damage when they're affected by a stasis debuff, so Drenger's Lash is nice. I really like Diamond Lance. A lot of people kind of sleep on it, I feel, so that's what I run. But you can run whatever you like. And same with the melees, I just run shield throw for the void overshield, because if we read here, not that one. Yeah, while you have a void overshield, your melee recharges faster, and then when you're amplified or radiant, your grenade recharges faster. You get radiant orbs. You've got Kvostov. You're making orbs with your kinetic and arc weapons. So yeah, this is just a really fun build. Again, I haven't got to play with it as much as I'd like, because I've been playing with so many other builds, including the one that I'm getting to next, and I made a dedicated build video breakdown of it yesterday, so check that out if you haven't watched it already. But that is the Second Chance Titan. Everyone's talking about the only things to run are Syntheseps and Point Contact Cannon Brace, and while these builds are very good, I would argue in endgame content, the Hazardous Propulsion, something like a GM, Hazardous Propulsion is going to be better, and so is Second Chance. So this build is all based around your shield throw. This gives you 2 shield throws, plus they can stun barrier champions, and they weaken targets on hit. So you can weaken targets on hit. Again, don't pay attention to my weapons, but I run it with Collective Obligation, as I highlighted in the build video. So like I said, check that build video out, because I break it down way more in depth. But again, I'm just kind of showing some good exotics to run in endgame content. Suppression grenades can deal with overloads, and they're really good for like, not area denial, but basically just like suppressing a big group of ads. Even if it doesn't get a kill, it's going to keep all those enemies from shooting you, which is very valuable in endgame content, obviously. So yeah, Second Chance, again, I'm probably going to solo a GM with this build as well this season. It's very good. So yeah, there's 4 more on the Titan that are good to run. And they're basically all built around Prismatic, but I do want to give a shout out quick to Cadmus Ridge Lance Cap. It's excellent. I still haven't even gotten the extra fragments, but yeah, no one's going to be running Stasis. Again, I'm trying to stick to either Prismatic or Void builds, because that's basically what the artifact caters to, so that's going to be your best bet. But I did just want to throw out that Cadmus Ridge is very good in endgame content. Behemoth goes hard, Diamond Lances go hard. You could pair this with Revision 0 and it's very good. So I've ran this build a lot last season, and I would like to make a build video on it at some point, but for now, like I said, I'm sticking to Prismatic and Void. So now I'll jump over to the Warlock. Alright, so Nezarec Sin. I actually ran this in Onslaught at the end of last season. With this build in particular, this was basically the Onslaught build, so it was tailored to Onslaught, so again, just keep that in mind. But holy crap, you get like so much ability return with Nezarec Sin, and with the huge buff to pulse rifles plus anti-barrier pulse, throw on Graviton Lance, and this build, again, you don't need Nova Warp, that was for Onslaught and before the Nova Bomb buffs. But yeah, this was what I was running, and it was very good. I quite liked scatter grenades, but in GMs, I might go vortex grenades. But again, this build is super good. If you don't know what Nezarec Sin does, void damage kills, increase ability recharge rate. This includes your super. So you get supers like crazy, you get void abilities like crazy. You could put this on Prismatic as well. I haven't totally looked into it. But yeah, you could absolutely run like vortex grenades with the weaken here with Echo of Facet of Dominance. Yeah, so I haven't really tailored this one to Prismatic yet, but I can tell you that Nezarec Sin gives crazy ability return. So you could run Arcane Needles, unravel things, Facet of Dawn to give yourself like constant radiant. You're chucking out weaken grenades with Facet of Dominance, so you're weakening everything. Then you have Expanding Abyss. Void sources deal increased damage to weakened targets, so they're all weakened from your grenade. Then again, if you're running Graviton Lance, it's going to be dealing 25% more damage because of the weaken, 25% more damage because of the radiant, plus unravel. So yeah, just that was off the top of my head. You could run Helion as well instead of Lightning Surge, because this is from my Fellwinter's Helm build, obviously. But yeah, anyways, just Nezarec Sin in general, because you're going to kind of be speccing into Void stuff this season. do not sleep on it. So that's the first one I wanted to start with. Controverse Hold has long been my favorite Warlock exotic. This one is straight up just on Void, not Prismatic. Chaos Accelerant, feed the Void. It's very, very simple. Echo of Expulsion, Undermining for Weaken, Instability for volatile rounds. So again, probably run it with Graviton Lance, plus a Void Heavy. And then your Vortex Grenades last longer. Keep in mind, those Vortex Grenades already hit hard, and then this is all Void sources. So those Vortex Grenades are now dealing 25% more damage instead of 15% more damage from the Weaken. So just something to keep in mind. You could pair it with Buried Bloodline, with the Unstoppable Sidearm again, and that's how you could get Devour. So you don't even necessarily have to run Feed the Void then. You could run Child of the Old Gods with Chaos Accelerant, and then just get Devour from Buried Bloodline. So there's a lot of ways you can go with this build. Again, this is just an overview of, hey, these exotics are going to be very, very strong. And yeah, Controverse Hold this season, again, probably going to solo a GM with this one and make a dedicated build video to it, because I've been wanting to make a build video on Controverse Hold for a lot of years now. And then in that similar vein, we're sticking on Voidwalker. This one does have Child of the Old Gods, of course, Feed the Void. I didn't have a lot of time last season, but I did get some footage, but I wound up just deleting it. But I was using Graviton Lance with Briarbinds in Birthplace of the Vile, and I died in the boss room. But all that is to say, it still got me to boss room in a solo GM in very good time as well, on an artifact that was completely catered to solar. So this season, this build is catered to Void, and I was actually using pretty much this exact build in the day one raid in final boss room, because again, that was like the day one, or I guess it was day two, but it was still on contest mode. So I was trying to send my Child of the Old Gods out for a weekend on the boss during damage phase, and the Child of the Old Gods were doing really, really good at just locking down all the Screebs and stuff, because I was on ad clear in boss room. If you checked out my live stream, you kind of saw it in action for a bit. But yeah, anyways, this build goes crazy, but I haven't really played with it much because I've only been playing Prismatic for the most part since Final Shape came out. But I can tell you that I have taken this through the paces in GMs before, and it's very, very good. So yeah, this build is going to go really, really hard, and I'm excited to use it. My Fellwinter's Helm build, I've done a dedicated build video on it. It's flexible in like what you want to run. It's great in like team dungeons and stuff, because you can give your team a 30% weaken with Fellwinter's Helm, and then that goes up to 35% with Expanding Abyss. But again, it's much like the aggro builds on Titan and Hunter. You have to know how to play aggressively to get anything out of this. Plus, I'm not sure if the Lightning Surge melees are going to kill very much in GMs. They will still kill red bars, but yeah, if you are going to run this build, you need very good knowledge of enemy spawns in the GMs. So if you're familiar with GMs, this build will shine. If you're not, you're probably going to want to go with a more passive one, because yeah, you could just quickly die. But what's nice is when you come out of it, they are like disoriented and everything. So it is a very good build, so I did want to shout it out. But for more passive players, Controverse and Briarbinds is going to be awesome. And then the last one that I have to shout out is the Getaway Artists with You Must Run Storm Grenade. I was testing some stuff. I haven't even really used this build, but I understand the gameplay enough to know that it is definitely endgame viable, and I'll get into those reasons in a second. But it says convert your Arc Grenade into an Arc Soul. So I was testing, can I run Echo of Dominance with the Storm Grenade, and will my Arc Souls then apply Jolt? The answer is no. And then I tried to test it with a Vortex Grenade, but obviously it has to be an Arc Grenade, so it wasn't even plopping down the Bleak Watcher. It was just like charging it up. Anyways, it doesn't work with Void Grenades. You have to use Storm Grenades. But Bleak Watchers, slow and freeze. So Stasis is actually really good in endgame content. Like some people know that, but some people say it's kind of crap. But because of the area lockdown, especially on Bleak Watchers, and then Overloads are some of the most annoying champs to deal with, and slow. Like I soloed a couple GMs last season with, I don't have them on here, but the Cold Snap Gauntlets on my Stasis Warlock and just a bunch of Bleak Watchers. And yeah, anyways, they deal with overloads very, very well. And then you could just chuck out, I guess on this build, you need a Storm Grenade. But on that build, you could also just chuck out a Cold Snap Grenade and freeze an unstoppable champion, and then you're able to stun them. So yeah, basically I'm just talking about how, yeah, Bleak Watchers are very, very good in endgame content. And then the Arc Souls just give you added damage, and you become amplified automatically once you proc your, what are they called? The enhanced Arc Souls, whatever they're called. But basically, once you do that, it says into an Arc Soul and become amplified. So you get amplified. So you're pretty much going to have constant uptime on Galvanic Armor. And the other thing is you have Devour. So if your Bleak Watcher gets a kill, which is kind of rare, but if your Arc Soul gets a kill, that's going to proc Devour. And then you get huge grenade energy return when you're getting kills with Devour. And this gives you big survivability, obviously, because you're getting your health back. And Feed the Void gives full health back, not the half health back like the fragment on Void. So this build, again, though I haven't played with it in like endgame content, I did mess around with it a bit just to understand the gameplay loop before making this video. And I can tell you it's very, very good. I definitely want to give it a try. I know it's been popular on YouTube. From my comment section, everyone was basically saying on that Warlock build that it was so nice to see a build video that wasn't centered around getaway artists. So yeah, basically I know it's been popular on YouTube, and that is for good reason. Same with the Consecration build. They're popular for a reason. They're very strong. So people just want to get the info out there. Like, I don't copy other builds. I'm always just making my own builds, but there is only so many like very, very good builds that builds are obviously going to overlap. But I'm still just going to make the ones that I think are strong, fun, that I like to play with, and share that with my audience. So I just wanted to point that out there that, like, yes, even if some other creators make the same build, I still want to share my twist on it, because I don't know what fragments they're running and stuff. And especially with Prismatic more than anything, it really comes down to the content. Like, I run Facet of Dawn a lot because I'm doing endgame content. And then I like Arcane Needles because Unravel's really good in endgame. You get 3 melees. Proccing Facet of Dawn's a free 25% Radiant, and that's very, very strong in endgame, where that's overkill in low-end content where everything dies to a hand cannon, right? So again, my builds typically are tailored to endgame content. So when you watch a build video from me, it could still have like the same essence, like it's still the same aspects and exotic, but I'm going to run different fragments and different weapons based on the content that I'm running it in. So anyways, I think that is it for the video. Yeah, that's all the builds I wanted to share. And tomorrow I'm going to have all the best weapons to run. So yeah, just be sure to subscribe if you haven't already so that you don't miss that. Because, I mean, the weapons are fairly self-explanatory, but still, if you're watching this video, you probably kind of care about my opinion for GMs, so you might get something out of that video as well. So anyways, thanks for watching. Take care.